Hey everyone, Catch 'em All Collectibles here. In today's video, I touched on it a little bit last week, but I'm going to talk about my thoughts on the trophy market and some of these recent sales. We've had quite a few coming through various platforms, Heritage, Golden, PWCC, even eBay. So yeah, I'm just going to recap some of the sales and give my thoughts, kind of lay out my thoughts on where I feel we stand in the trophy market and then where I stand personally with respect to the trophy market. Um, Happy Independence Day for all my American viewers. You should be seeing this on Monday, July 4th, recording it on the 1st, going into the weekend. So yeah, hope everyone had a great holiday weekend. If you're watching this as it comes out, happy 4th. If later on, again, hopefully you had a great weekend. But we'll jump right into it. The first thing that really got me thinking deeper about where we stand and maybe a little bit of nerves coming in. I'll get deeper into that, but this was a big number. Some trophies went in 2020, 2021. Some went big, but me having a full art set at the time, this half art card being the first one to the market in quite some time, it fetched a big number, a number that felt way too big, way too much money for me at the time, relative to everything else, what's going on. That's where certain things started happening. I expected this to draw more out, and half art Pikachus, I've still never owned one to date. I would still love to own one someday, but we'll work our way through the successive sales, and that's where we'll start to uncover some of my thoughts. You see, I got a lot of tabs on top opened, ready to go. So yeah, just for context, I'll try to say the dates and the prices as I go. February 27th, 2021, $110,100. That's with buyer's premium. So that was our first sale. Next sale, the year isn't hugely important. Getting really into the nitty gritty on this, 3 per year were awarded per place from 2004 to 2012. In 2013, they did start awarding these to the video game winner as well. So it did double the total intended distribution, the total awarded distribution from 3 to 6. How relevant that is when you're working with such small numbers, I don't really know, but I figured I should put the context in there. Anyways, quite a gap. 8 months. And I could have missed. I'm not saying that these were the next sales. There could have been some in between that I missed. I think this may have been, though. Same goes for all the other ones. I'm going to look at Mew Orbs and Pika Rings. I grabbed all the ones I could quickly find, but it's hard to find them all. So anyways, 8 months later, we had a 2013 number 2. So this one was less rare in that there were 6 copies awarded this year, and this went for $65,000. A big retrace if you look at it from, okay, well, it's a half art number 2. If you leave aside the year and all that, they're both PSA 9s. This one's even got the newer cert thing going for it. That one's got, I don't know how much all that matters, but I'm just trying to give all the context I can. I bid on this one. I was thinking that, hey, we might have a big retrace from the heights there. Late 2021, prices have come down on quite a few things by that point, but 40% drop-ish from the peak. I want to say I bid around 50 on this, which in hindsight, I'm glad I didn't win it. We'll see why shortly. But yeah, that's a lot of money to tie up. One concept that I think is really important for cards like this, single items are really like maxed out, like single graded items. Aside from if there's room for slab optimization, which I've been talking about in some of my recent videos. Like if you look at this closer, I don't want to pull up the high res photos, but likely it's a true PSA 9. Likely it can't become a PSA 10. This is a single graded card. It's in the most liquid, the most well-known, respected grading company slab already. This card is maxed out. You can't really do anything to this or with it to get more money from it. It's one single item that you buy, 1 data point, and then you sell it, 1 data point. Nothing to do in between. When you buy a box like this, you can break it, you can grade the packs, sell heavy, sell lights. I mean, you can go all the way and you can open all the packs, you can grade the cards. A little crazy on certain things, but there are options with items like that. There are options with large collections. I mean, $65,000 could get you a fairly sizable collection that, say that the price goes down eventually, you might be able to sell out half the collection. You might be able to grade some, upgrade some, whatever the case may be. Single trophy cards are some of the scariest for me with these big numbers, even owning some, because once you buy it, you're at the will of the market. There's really nothing you can do to improve your situation if things start to go down or change. So anyways, the next successive sale after that I found, PSA 8. So this is a 2008. There should have been 3 of them awarded that year. It's a PSA 8. Condition always matters. Everything else equal, if you could have this in an 8 or a 9, you'd rather have the 9. You'd rather have the 10 than the 9 too. So there's going to be a difference in between what you'll pay by grade. Some people say it shouldn't matter at all. It's so rare. It still always matters, but how much should it matter? What ratio should it be? I don't know, but in 9 went for 65, and then an 8 went for 43.2. This was in November. So this was only a week later. So now we've got 110, we've got 65, we've got 43.2. And then the next one that popped up, we're in late November right now. This one was a number 1. So everything changes when a number 1 comes up. I did bid on this as well. I believe I bid around 50 on this. Number 1 is number 1. No one collects, as far as I understand, memorabilia from the people who lost the Super Bowl or the people who lost the conference championship, or even, I mean, won the conference championship and then lost in the Super Bowl. They collect the Super Bowl rings. They collect the champion of the world for that given year. This was the champion of the world in 2012. PSA 9 went for 72,000. I mean, it's a step up from where the prior 2 number 2s had went, but I think that's reasonable and necessary when you're talking 1 versus 2. Part of the reason why I still own my full art number 1 and not my full art number 2, but lower than the number 2, the first one to market went, the first one to market in a substantial period of time. So to me, having almost won, having been 10 or 20 grand off, 15, 20% off, winning a couple of these trophies and seeing them go down, this one came up. In hindsight, I probably should have and maybe would have won it if it didn't happen to be in February. So context, I've mentioned this many times in previous videos. I'm probably going to tie in a lot of things here. This might turn into a lengthy video. I've always said I don't offer a flat percent on anything. What I offer is relative to how my cash flow situation is. If I've just spent a bunch of money around this time earlier this year, March 15th was the corporate tax filing deadline. April 15th was the personal tax filing deadline. I had to have IRAs funded by April 15th. I had to have 401k through my business, my I-401k through my S corporation and my wife's. I had to have those fully funded. And I didn't do any pre-funding throughout 2021. I did it all in one lump sum 2 weeks after this. And I knew that was coming. So I had a massive expenditure coming in March. I'd already bought a bunch of stuff. I was not very liquid around this time. I want to say I was the second highest bidder here. So I bid 20 on this card only a few months after I had bid 50. People might say that's crazy, but I did also have the context of a couple lower successive sales. So function of low liquidity and just a little bit of market fear in me. Interesting thing you might have caught. This one is a number 2 from 2013, ending in 23. Same exact card. So whoever bought this card bought it for 65, sold it for 25.8. I mean, with fees and all that, probably lost $40,000. That shows you the risk in just blindly buying into something. At the time they bought it, they might have felt good. Hey, I got a 40% discount from the last guy. It didn't end up working out. There was no options. You couldn't break the box. There was no way out other than just selling it and taking that loss. I've not yet done it, and I hope I can continue to say that for a long time, maybe forever. I've lost money on individual cards, but nothing in the 5-figure category, nothing in that 5-figure tier. I've only spent in that tier a couple times, and yeah, I do my best to not spend in that category, in that tier, and then regret it. So if another one were to come if this had happened immediately after I made my sale of the full arts to Rusty, I would have either won it if the next bid would have won it. Who knows? I mean, the high bidder for this, the way auctions work, the second highest bidder is the one who sets the final price, because the second highest bidder plus one increment is what it goes for. The winner here could have bid $50,000 for all we know. If I was very liquid and bid 40, I could have lost it for 41 because he would have went one increment above me. We have no way of knowing that. But anyways, I know I would have been more of a player. You can actually see, yeah. So I bid 20,500. I didn't remember off the top of my head what it was. 21,500 plus BP1, 20,500 was my bid. So I was one increment away from winning it. I don't know. I don't know if the others showed it. I'm logged in. Looks like I'm logged in on Golden, but not on Heritage or PWCC. So hopefully I don't show off any details here other than my losing bids. But yeah, so that got my wheels turning. I've mentioned before, I'm not going to own all the cards all at once, but I'd love to own Mew Orbs, Pika Rings, Miracle Diamonds, and some of these upcoming tabs are going to be those cards, and we'll show. Like, it's a bit scary when you see 110 down to 25. I have a really hard time. I mean, I almost have a hard time that it went for this, and I was the one who made it go for this. If I didn't bid, who was the third bidder? Could this have gone for 20? Could it have gone for 15? That's a little bit scary thinking about it. If I wasn't there, no way of knowing. That's just the nature of auctions. Maybe with bid history, we can see this could have been, yeah, you don't get the IDs like you do on eBay. So I can't tell who made what, and I can't tell if there were 3 or 4 people up here or if it was just 2 of us. But anyways, continuing on, that kind of sets the stage for where my mindset is, my history, never having spent this much money on a card and then held it and lost it. Because when you tie up this amount of capital, that's money that's not in your business account, buying collections, paying grading fees, flipping things. Like, that's money that's not working for you. It's not in the stock market getting dividends. It's not, it's really, there's big implications, not only the dollar value loss, the time value of money, the opportunity cost, all that stuff. It's a double whammy when you make a buy like that and then lose. So this one I included way above my tier. I'll likely never own one. If I ever do own one, that means something bad happened in the hobby probably, and they fell substantially. I just wanted to show it because even the uber high end, I mean, Logan Paul bought one for 1.275 million several months prior, and then he traded that for his 10 with $4 million. This one went for 840,000. It's still mind blowing how much money that is. And I'll get into it in 2 more tabs, I think. The way that I like to think about these and the way that I like to value these, I like to do comparisons, and I don't like to say, oh, that one feels undervalued to this one. X feels undervalued compared to Y. So this, I'll walk you through that very shortly. Here's another one. These, to me, and this is where you get into the market is the sum of all individual participants in the market. To me, I would much rather have this set of 3 than this illustrator. This went in June and this went in May, a couple weeks apart. Give me this before giving me 3 of these. If I could not sell them, as far as history in the hobby, as far as all that goes, these ones mean so much more to me, but it doesn't matter because the market likes this better, clearly. And getting into the next one, number 3, TMB. Beautiful card. I would love to own this card. To me, this card, I mean, if I did like a tier list of the trophies, it's the original trophy Pikas, and then this would be like A tier. Those would be S tier. This would be A tier along with the illustrator, and B tier, you'd get into like the full art Pikachus. Maybe the end of the A tier would be the full art and the half art Pikachus. Then you'd get on down into like trophy Kangaskhan, things like that. Clearly the market's maybe I'll do a trophy tier list at some point and just walk you through how I rate them and how the market doesn't really agree with my ratings, and that's fine. But when a card like this comes up and I think that this is above, like, so massively, this is A tier, C tier probably would be your Mew Orbs and your Pika Rings and your Miracle Diamonds and your Wonder Platinum might be B tier. But anyways, when this is at 50, I work down from there. I don't say, oh, that one just went low, it should have been worth more. Everything else, like I set this to peg my values and then I work down from there. So if this is 50 grand as an A tier trophy, everything else that's below it should be cheaper and I'm not going to pay more. So that's when we get into here's a Mew Orb that sold for 17. Here's one that, and this was December of 2020. A couple weeks later, one went for 60. So, and these are a year and a half apart. This was like peak bubble compared to a few weeks ago. But to me, when this card went for 60, that felt horrifically overvalued. Even at 40, a few months later, a year and a half later, feels like a lot because this is in March of this year and this was in June of this year. Here's the same copy. So again, whoever bought this on PWCC, they held it for a year and a half and then they ultimately lost a couple grand plus fees. That just shows you the risk, like all the opportunity costs that all that money could have been earning going into collection, supporting the business. Really something I want to avoid again. But even this, when this is 15 and this is 50, I bid on this. I want to say, again, I'm not logged in. I want to, oh, right here, my bid of 11,000. So I bid 11,000, 13.2 with buyer's premium. I was there. I was in the vicinity. I wasn't second highest bidder, but maybe third. I would have felt a little bad winning it for that because to me, this card should be, if this card is 50, this card should be under 10 to me. And again, the market doesn't care about your feelings, any of that. But I'm just, when I see this card go, and I bid early. I value this card much more than 10,000. But by the time I went into place a higher bid, it was already gone. It was already well above what I was going to pay. So that's not representative of like how I value it. And I would have bought this if it somehow fell into the mid 20s, high 20s, somewhere in there. But at 50, it wasn't for me. But clearly this one, in hindsight, that having gone for 50, to me, this is a sub 10 card. Same thing goes for this. This sold in September of 2021 for 36,000. At the time that it happened, I felt like I would love to own this card someday. It's a shame that I never will after seeing that number. And then one just went recently for 21,000. You can see here, same story as the TMB. I bid 1,100. I do not value this card at 1,100. I value it much higher. But by the time I went to place a higher bid the day of the final auction, I don't know where exactly it was, but it was above me. And then only 5 days later, one went for 18,000. And then only 3 days after that, one went for 15,700. In many ways, that shows you, like, I was surprised at the resilience of this card to go 3 sales within a week for 21, 18, and 15.7. One thing I'm not looking at is how strong or weak the copies were. That's always a consideration because when you're maxed out as a PSA 10 and it's not a true 10 and it's actually pretty weak, then you're in a really tough spot because PSA is not going to give you the final financial guarantee on a card of this caliber, unfortunately. Might be its own video someday. I might have already done a video on it, but yeah, I want to say, again, relative to the TMB, this card should be sub 10. I bid in the low 10s, very low 10s on a couple of these. I don't remember which ones, but clearly not this one. It might have been this one or this one that I put my bid in. I think I tried actually sniping here, but someone out sniped me like a second earlier, and then my bid didn't go in because it was lower than the current bid. So a little bit of pause, a little bit of hesitation going into the summer, going into the fall. If the recession continue, well, if it gets announced to be a recession, if the broader markets continue to tumble, I think we'll see more of these coming up. How the prices might go. I mean, just because I was willing to pay, say, 11 on this day, if one comes up in 2 months, I might only be willing to pay 6 or 5, or I don't know the exact numbers if they were to come up today. That's the kind of thing I need to, again, I need to look at my bank account, look at my credit card statement, look at where the last few sales are, and just take stock of it all. Like, long rambly video. I can't definitively say I'm offering this on this card, X, Y, Z on these cards. It's gonna depend on the day that they come up. Honestly, if this were to come up today, it would be sub 10 that I would offer. So clearly I'm 50% below market. Another card that I love to have, it's on my list, Miracle Diamond, Wonder Platinum. Two beautiful cards. It goes like Mysterious Pearl, Miracle Diamond, Wonder Platinum. They're almost in like a series, is the way that I like mentally account for them. Miracle Diamond or Mysterious Pearl, hundreds, if not 1,000 were printed. Miracle Diamond, 100 something, I believe. Wonder Platinum is something crazy low, like 20 or 35 or some really, really low number. I forget off the top of my head. It's fairly late Friday night. But yeah, this was in November of 2020. So I don't think we've seen one of these come up in a while. The diamond was very recently. I passed on one of these that was a very ugly PSA 9 years ago for like $5,000. In hindsight, I'm torn because it went up a lot, but you do have trouble selling overgraded cards to some extent. Very good example of that I didn't pull up. Master Scroll. I bought one, a PSA 10 after Worlds 2019 for $3,500, and then it doubled, and I auctioned it later that spring for about 67, almost 7,000, and the card rocketed up to 30 in PSA 10. The number felt insane. Relative to everything else, it just felt insane. It still feels a little high. The Master Scroll, I don't have one up, but a PSA 10 I think just sold for like 13. Relative to the Pika ring, maybe it's fair, maybe it's a little cheap, but again, relative to that TMB, I always want to be like as pessimistic as possible with cards of this caliber, because again, I don't want to be stuck holding the bag on a 5-figure card, unable to sell it for as much as I paid for it. Because again, it's maxed out and you can't do anything else with it. But yeah, Master Scroll recently just sold for I want to say 14,000 in PSA 10. So right after I sold my PSA 10 for 6,700, I bought back a PSA 9 for 3 or 3,500. And then that one I sold it in December 2021, I believe, on PWCC. And it was funny, the sentiment around my sale. I saw some other people's commentary on it and paper hands, this, that, because a couple copies had come up in a row. And I think I sold mine for 13 or 12. And then a 10 almost went as low. And it was the really ugly 10. That maybe a good 10 is worth 20 still. Maybe a good 10 is worth more. I don't really know. But when I sold my 9 that I bought for 3, I sold it for 12 later in the year, 12, 11, 10, whatever it was. And then a 10 goes for 14 or 15. I feel pretty comfortable having sold that and moved on from it. Here's the Wonder Platinum I already showed. Master's Key is another card I'd love to have. I had a shot at one of these before it went to auction. This was 26.9 in August of 2020. This one was 30,000 in March of 2022. I believe PWCC had another one several months ago. I had an option to get it before it went to PWCC for about 20, and then it did about 25 on PWCC. So it did almost exactly what I was offered it plus BP. It was a little bit overgraded copy. It felt like same thing. I definitely have hesitation when cards are maxed out. I can't do anything with them. Not only that, but they're overgraded. So they're beyond maxed out. They're higher than they should be. And I just don't want to pay that valuation. Here's another card, Full Art Pikachu, number 3. Rusty and I did the deal. We valued the 4 at 40. We valued the 2 at 70. This one comes up a couple weeks later. It values the 3 at 32. So a little bit below where we valued the 4. But to me, again, cards don't have a market price. Rusty and I had a data point. PWCC had a data point. Plus or minus, depending on the card, it could be plus or minus 100%, plus or minus 50%, 20%. That's within the range of plus or minus 20%. So to me, the market price didn't really move on this. I think much healthier than our original example. Had this, I was a little worried this might go for like 100,000. Not in the climate we're in, it's not surprising it didn't touch close to that. But this is the first public sale of this card in like 4 or 5 years. So I was almost shocked it didn't go a little bit higher, but I was pretty happy that it got close to the range that Rusty and I put it in. He was at 50 on mine. So I guess it's 35% or so lower than where we were. But again, plus or minus 35%, that feels fair, especially in the context of what all these cards had done. So Yeah, that's a very broad, long, rambling overview for your 4th of July. Let me know in the comments below. Do you buy trophy cards? Do you think it's silly to buy someone else's achievement? Do you not understand it? Do you are these some of your grails? I know for me, not grails, but I mean grails would be, where'd they go? These would be grails for me. Probably never own them. I'd like to have this, but not, especially for its, this is the least likely card I'll ever own in my entire life, because it's not only the price, but like the value to me. Give me every other trophy card combined that I showed you tonight instead of this. It's just silly to me where it's at, but I don't matter in the grand scheme of the illustrator market. So buy where you see value, sell where you don't. I think it's great that everyone values everything differently, because if you have something the market overvalues, sell it. Buy something the market undervalues. Now you got a better item for you with money to go out and buy more. So it's like, it's a win-win for everybody, because the other person got something that they probably deem undervalued. Yeah, that's my thoughts on the broader trophy market and where I'm looking to move in the future. I want to buy them, but I'm not going to get, I'm going to do my best to not get destroyed. If and when I win something big, I'll make a video about it so that it's time-stamped. If and when I get destroyed, you'll be able to see it. You'll be able to comment on it and see my my thoughts on it afterwards. But yeah, that's everything for today. All my Monday videos, I like to do a little schedule for the week. So Wednesday, I'm going to do another like market chat. I've been doing a lot of these market chats on just talking about the broader market, and I don't like talking full screen. I like to be in the corner with something to show. So it'll probably be the same way. But last week I did a video on slab optimization. I have hundreds of cards that I'm not selling as is, or maybe I am. I just need to review them closer. I need to see if my CGC 9 could rather be a PSA 9, maybe a small shot of the PSA 10. I need to see if my CGC 8.5 could be a CGC 9 or a PSA 9. I want to max out. I talked about that concept in this video. I want to max out my slab before I bring it to market. If it's something that's like irreplaceable is the wrong word, but like hard to replace, cards like this might be irreplaceable to find like raw and regrade, and if you were to sell it. But WotC first edition hollows, for what some of those are going for in CGC 8, CGC 9 condition, I can't replace them raw for that price. So that's why I'm holding on to them tighter. Someone in my comments asked me, why don't you sell them now? Opportunity cost of holding them, paying more money to regrade them. Why don't you sell them now and have that money? One, I think we might be like, some of those things are getting too low maybe. And two, I can't sell those and buy back the same thing for the same price or cheaper. So that's part of the reason that I'm trying to optimize them before I sell them. And I'll talk about the implications of slab optimization, the implications that I see of that on the market, as far as what cards disproportionately are likely to come to market. Won't be surprising, but I don't know how much people think about that. It might be a unique, interesting view. So yeah, Wednesday, look forward to that. Friday, I'm probably going to do a submission video. At some point next week, I'm going to do my best to crack at least a handful of those cards and get together. It's either going to be like a 50 card PSA submission or a 50 card CGC submission, maybe both. So Friday will just be a submission video. Maybe I'll show a bunch of labels of the, I always get afraid showing the labels, so I probably won't show the labels until they come back. I get worried PSA or CGC are watching and they're going to ding me on the regrades of those. But another thing upcoming, we just hit July. I'm going to do a 1 year full-time Pokemon. I forget exactly when that was. I put in my 2-week notice. It was like July 20th or so that I think I was my last day. So sometime mid-month, I'll be doing a live, kind of like I did for 1 year on YouTube. I'll schedule it ahead of time so that I have people there to hang out, but I'm looking forward to that. Just hanging out with chat, talking about everything, Q&A, whatever. I think that's it though. That's my schedule for next week, and then a little thing that I'm looking forward to for July. So yeah, as always, like, sub. If you've listened this long to these ramblings, you must enjoy the content. Consider subscribing and hitting that bell. The eBay affiliate link's always there. Last thing I forgot to mention, I'm doing a 1776 percent off sale. You can't actually do fractional or decimal sales on eBay. So it's an 18% off sale for the 4th of July weekend. I saw Old Skool Pokemon. Nick was doing a 20% off sale. And I thought to myself, he missed out like marketing, patriotic marketing type thing. And I'm not even giving as big of a discount, but I should be getting that extra goodwill from our patriotic American eBay Pokemon buyers. So yeah, if you're watching this on the 4th, as it came out, there's a few hours left to go grab 18% off my whole eBay store. Affiliate link down below. Yeah, with that, happy 4th of July. Hope you had a great weekend. I appreciate you all watching, and I will catch you all later.